Let's talk about COVID-19. Today is the 3rd of May 2020, and there have been 3.5 million coronavirus infections. Unfortunately, 245,000 deaths. Ambassador Fabian, could this pandemic have been prevented?
Thank you for a very interesting and pertinent question, which I'm afraid is not sufficiently highlighted in the media and also among government circles, and even, if I may say so, in the academia. I honestly believe that this unfolding tragedy could have been and should have been prevented. And let me try to demonstrate how it could have been prevented by looking at the timeline. Around the 8th of December 2019, in the city of Wuhan, 11 million population, there were instances of pneumonia of unknown etiology. And then what happened? By the 30th of December, a young doctor by name Dr. Li Wanliang, he went to the social media, pointed out that there was danger of an epidemic. How did the government of Wuhan respond? The mayor rebuked him and silenced him on the 3rd of January. Why? Because the mayor had plans for a big meeting of the Wuhan branch of the Communist Party to be concluded with a grand banquet hosted by him for 40,000 families. Well, the mayor went ahead with his plans, the banquet was held, and the virus went viral. Beijing slowly woke up. It sent an eminent virologist, Dr. Shang Nanshang, 83 years old, to Wuhan. He submitted a report, and not only Wuhan city, but the whole province of Hubei was put under lockdown. In other words, Beijing took action. Now let us look at the communication between China and the World Health Organization. On 31st December, China informed the World Health Organization that there were instances of pneumonia of unknown etiology. But China added something very significant. It said that there was no reason, I repeat, there was no reason to believe that there was human-to-human transmission. Unfortunately, the WHO swallowed it hook, line, and sinker. Instead of asking more questions to Beijing, and instead of sharing the information with its member states, pointing out that this is what China has said, but it needed further investigation. And also, the WHO should have got in touch with Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the Atlanta-based US organization, and others, so that the matter could be studied urgently. Now, the WHO persisted on the wrong track for quite a while. As late as 14th January, it tweeted that there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. Remember, by that time, one person in Thailand had already got infected. Tell me, how could that person could have got infected if there was no human to human transmission? Well, to put it mildly, the WHO was moving at a snail's pace. In fact, it has outsnailed the snail. It was only by 12th of March that it declared that there was pandemic. Earlier, on 31st of January, it had declared that there was a public health emergency of international concern. But it took it so long to see what was so clear. So, it is clear for us in retrospect that both China and the World Health Organization have made grave errors. If they had acted responsibly, this unfolding tragedy could have either been forestalled or it would have ended by Act 1, Scene 1. That is the truth. Thank you for listening to me.
Currently, there is a confrontation between the United States and China in the context of COVID-19. Do you think, Ambassador Fabian, that this confrontation will survive the US presidential election in November?
Thank you for an important question, phrased in a lucid manner. But before I answer that question, I want to put it in a historical perspective. The United States, even before the Second World War ended, the United States military had started speculating whether the Soviet Union will be the new enemy. And as we know, it turned out to be the case, and we had a Cold War. Well, I personally think there was no need for it, but we cannot go into it right now. When the Cold War ended, it was said that Japan has won. In other words, the thought among certain circles in the United States was that Japan was emerging as an economic rival, not a military rival, but an economic rival. In other words, the tendency to look for a rival or a potential rival is very much part of human nature. Now, in the United States, even before President Trump came to the White House, there was a consensus that China was the rising power. China was contesting the United States, and there was need to stop the rise of China and, if possible, I repeat, if possible, to reverse it. At the same time, there was an equally strong view that there was need to cooperate with China in many areas. So what was happening was a combination of confrontation and cooperation. And if I may say so, there was more cooperation than confrontation before Trump. But after the arrival of Trump, it changed, and we all know about the trade war. So there was more confrontation. Now, with COVID-19, well, I personally think that China was at fault in not communicating to the WHO about the human-to-human transmission. But President Trump, for his own reasons, because he has been accused by his political rivals and others that he has failed in discharging his duties as a head of state. So President Trump wants to find someone else who is at fault, a scapegoat. So he has now said that China is responsible. China had it in its laboratory and so on. So this confrontation is going on. Now your question is whether this confrontation will survive the November 2020 election. Well, let's look at it this way. Either President Trump wins or he loses. If he wins, then, even then, he might take the line that there was no need for any such confrontation and that it would be in his interest and in his view, in the interest of the United States to cooperate with China, though a level of confrontation might continue. Now, in case President Trump loses, I have no doubt that the new president will certainly be more cooperative than confrontationist. But on the whole, I believe that the combination of cooperation and confrontation will continue. The percentages might vary. Thank you so much.